Good day, everybody, and welcome back to the dark side. The next mod we're going to be looking at is going to be EvilCraft. If you thought Minecraft was just a child's game and you wanted it to be a little bit more evil, then this is the mod for you. So let's get into it. So EvilCraft basically uses a brand new ore that it adds throughout the entire process. So you're going to want to be looking out for any dark ore in your world and collect it as you go through. This is a bit of a later game mod, since Dark Ore is a bit more difficult to find. But once you have enough, you can get started at any point and get ready to kind of progress slowly through this mod as you find more Dark Ore. So the book for this mod, The Origins of Darkness, can be found in chests around the world, or you can craft it in another way, but we'll get into that a bit later. So as I mentioned, you will be finding dark ore all around the world, probably a bit lower, closer to bedrock, but just keep your eyes out while you're exploring caves. This will drop a dark gem and dark dust, and you can craft that into a dark block as well. The first thing you're going to want to craft for yourself is a spike using one dark gem and one iron ingot. This will give you 16 spikes that you can use later to craft the blood extraction tools. The first of this is going to be the blood extractor. This uses 3 spikes, a glass block, and a dark gem. Now, this has a capacity of 5,000 millibuckets of blood, and it is stackable. So for each of these you craft, you can combine them to give yourself 5,000 extra millibuckets per blood extractor. Similarly, you can use the spiked plate to extract blood. That is going to be 3 spikes and a weighted pressure plate. This will automatically hurt any mob that walks across it or stands on it and extract their blood through other means that we'll get into later. You can also find blood randomly lying on the floor where mobs took fall damage. This you can pick up by shift clicking on it with your blood extractor. And then of course you're going to want somewhere to store your blood. So that we're going to use the dark tank for. Now this you can craft with a glass, and then depending on what you have available, either the singular or the block versions of 2 dark gems and 2 iron ingots. Now each of these has, if you just use the normal singular ones, has 16,000 capacity. If you use the block version, you'll have 144,000 capacity. It's important to note here as well that this is stackable and you can combine them in your inventory to increase their capacity. Now, once you click on this, you'll see that the color changes to this purplish color. And all that means is that once it's purple, it will be able to extract the content of the tank into the block below if it can accept fluids. Now, the dark tank can be used for any fluid, not just the blood that you get from the mod. We can then also use the dark gems to craft the sanguinary pedestal. That is crafted with 6 dark gems like this and a dark block in the middle. So as you see, up until this point, we've used a ton of dark gems. And given how rare they are, it might take you a while to get to this point. What the sanguinary pedestal does is it absorbs blood from the surrounding blocks and can export it into a dark tank if you put it next to it or under it. Now, for this mod, I usually set up my workstations close to a mob spawner using the sanguinary pedestal, the pressure, or the spiked plate, and then the dark tank to automatically kill the mobs that fall onto the spikes from the mob farm and then collect the blood like that. You can also combine this with a black hole tank. That's what I usually do, and that would allow you to infinitely collect blood through the system. And as you'll see later on in the mod walkthrough, you're going to need a lot of blood to complete this mod. The dark gems can be used to create a dark brick and dark brick stairs. That is used by getting a dark block and surrounding it with 4 stone bricks, which will give you 4 dark bricks, which is much more useful later on. Then we get to the weather container. Now, the weather container is actually a pretty cool effect that you can have. The weather container is crafted using a dark gem, a glass bottle, and sugar. This can be used to craft weather containers containing sunshine, rain, and thunder. Throwing these down instantly changes the weather to the contained weather in the bottle. As you see, now we have thunder and back to sunshine. To get this, we're going to go on a little trip into a real world. Now, while you're exploring your world, it might seem strange to see this beacon light shining, since you haven't built a beacon yet. But that's just this new structure that the mod adds. Now you're going to want to go to these. You'll see it has a few chests, it's anything between 1 and 4, sometimes even 0, with random loot in. But what we're actually here for is the environmental accumulator. This we are going to use the weather containers on. You're just going to throw it. You're going to see the short animation. And once it's done, it's going to pop out the weather bottle that it uses the current weather. So it was sunshine. Now it's containing the sunshine in here. And as you see, it turns sunshine into rain. Now we're just going to wait for this to recharge and then we'll go on. Once it's fully recharged, we can use it again. Oops, there we go. It will do the short animation again, using up all the energy, and we will get the rain in a bottle. And as you'll see, it will take the rain away and give us sunshine again, absorbing all that rain into this little bottle. Now, once it's fully charged, we'll have a look at the last one. For the last one, you're going to want to wait for a thunderstorm. Now, this might be rare in the game, but there are ways to trigger it that we'll get into later in the mod as well. So we're going to throw this in. It's going to have the same little animation, and we're going to get our thunder in a bottle. Now let's head back. Once we have these weather in a bottles, we can use them in the following ways, just to make life a little bit more easy. So when you have 3 dark gems and rain in a bottle, we can make 4 eternal water buckets. And as the name suggests, they're just water buckets that never run out. We can also use rain in a bottle, a dark block, and cover that with glass panes, and that will give us 4 eternal water blocks, which similarly is just a block that never runs out of water. Then we come to the hardened blood shard. Once you've used your blood extractor and filled it up by killing different mobs, you can put it down, and after a few seconds, it will start to harden. Once it has become hardened blood, you can get yourself a flint and steel and activate that to get a few hardened blood shards. Now, this is going to be used a bunch in the other items as well, but the main usage for this is going to be trading with the werewolf. Now, werewolves will randomly spawn in villages, and at first they might seem like normal villagers. They can give you some useful items that you get from this mod, but once nighttime falls, they turn into this massive werewolf monster that will attack you and other villagers. But once daytime is back, they'll revert back to their normal form. There's also a few new enchants that this mod adds, including Curse of Breaking, which is very unuseful since this is the opposite of unbreaking, making your tools break a lot faster. Lifesteal is an enchantment that for any damage you deal to mobs, it will add back to you. Poison Tip has a chance to poison anything that you attack. Unusing is very useful if you use vanilla tools. This mod won't allow you to use your tools once they are ready to break. So once you're on that last piece of durability, this will stop you from using that item entirely. And then Curse of Vengeance. This is also not a very useful enchantment as it will summon vengeance spirits when you use the tool or item that this is on. And then the last thing we're going to look at in this part of the mod walkthrough is the obscured glass. This is crafted with a dark gem and 8 glass around it, giving you 8 obscured glass. So this is just a piece of glass that you can still see through, but it does not allow any light to pass through it. So if we build ourselves a little cage here and build ourselves closed, you'll see the light levels are severely lower inside. This can be very useful when you want to build mob farms that are still able to see inside of. And I use it frequently, especially with the main setup that I built for this mod, where the rest of the items are. And that's everything you're going to need to know to get started in this mod. Join me next time when we're actually going to get into setting up the mod stations and some useful things that this mod adds that just make life a little bit easier. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.